This book is called Red Sails to Capri, Chapter 1, 5 Lire Times Forever. Angelo, look, a boat. Angelo put down the net he was mending, pushed his red cap back off his forehead, and looked at Michelle. A boat, eh? Wonderful. I must get excited. I must stop mending nets and stare. Here we sit on the island of Capri, with boathouses all around us, with fishing nets hanging like spider webs everywhere, with the bay full of boats, which I've seen every day of my life for the past 40 years. And the boy tugs at my arm, jumps up and down, screaming, and wants me to look. Look, he says, look, Angelo, a boat. But that's just it, cried Michelle. You don't see one like it every day of the year. It's different. Look at it, Angelo, before it's gone. Why are you so stubborn? It will only take a minute. A minute, eh? Angelo looked at Michelle again, avoiding the sea as if it were against the law to look at it. A minute. Listen to the boy. He speaks as if minutes grew on trees, thousands at a time. Minutes are not like that. They are all strung together in a straight line, holding hands, and if you lose one, it's gone. But no, he went on quickly. Now that I think about it, I'm not so sure. There's your minute and my minute, and our good friend Salio over there. He has a minute which is different from ours. You know, I never thought about it before, but perhaps minutes are all spread out around us, like leaves and grains of sand. Angelo, do you know what people say about you? Angelo shook his head. No, but I am sure of one thing. It is nothing good. Tell me, what do they say? They say you are the laziest fisherman on Capri. They say you spend all your time talking, that you never do anything. You talk about minutes. They say you waste hours, days, years. Angelo nodded his head. 40, he said, looking pleased. 40 years I have wasted. It has been wonderful. Well, go on. What else do they say? They say, Michelle hesitated, they say, really, Angelo, I hate to say this, but it's true. They say, he smiled at Angelo as if to soften the blow, they say you catch more fish than any other 5 fishermen put together. Angelo laughed. For that, Michelle, I'll look at your boat. Though really, I don't like it. Staring at a boat like a landlubber, like a foreigner, a tourist. Well, where is this boat you're so excited about? I've these nets to mend. I can't sit here all day looking at the sea. There, Michelle pointed to the left of the harbor. Way out. You can see the sails, red ones. And look, Angelo, look. It's coming into our harbor. It's going to land here. Whee! Angelo gave a low whistle. By the good saints, that is a boat. But what is it doing in Capri this time of the year? It is cold now. The visitors stay away. Perhaps they aren't visitors. What else would they be? Do you know anyone on Capri who owns a boat like that? Michelle shook his head slowly. I didn't know anyone owned a boat like that anywhere. My poor little friend, Angelo patted Michelle's arm. When you have seen the world as I have, you will know that there are many sailboats even more beautiful than that. The world? Tell me, Angelo, where have you been? To Naples. Michelle laughed. 15 miles across the bay to Naples. My, Angelo, you have traveled. Naples is a large city and beautiful. You will do well to go there someday yourself. Michelle looked at the red sails, which were now quite close. I'm going farther than Naples. I'm going to Rome, perhaps even to Venice. The red sails dropped, folding themselves around the mast, and an anchor was lowered, and 3 men jumped out of the sailboat onto the Grande Marina pier. Beautiful. Beau, test beau. Ah. Michelle stared curiously at the 3 men. What did they say, Angelo? Do you know? Angelo shrugged his shoulders. I do not know. One thing is certain, they are not Italians. What do you think they are? You have seen many visitors, can't you tell? Well, Angelo leaned forward and looked at them closely. The first one, the one in the blue smock and tam, might be English. The one in the velvet breeches, the one who said, Trace Beau, he is French, I am sure. I used to know a bit of French. Let me see. Beau. I think that means beautiful. Yes, that is right. Trace Beau, very beautiful. What do they mean, What did they mean, Angelo? What is beautiful? Capri, of course. Did you think they meant you? I am sure of one thing, they did not mean you. Then we are even. Even, Michelle laughed. Now tell me about the tall, blond fellow in the tight-fitting coat. Shh. Angelo put his hand over Michelle's mouth. If you talk less, you would learn more. Listen, they're talking. And in Italian. Michelle pulled Angelo's hand away from his mouth. They're speaking in Italian, and quite well, too. I can understand them. Can't you, Angelo? I could understand them if I could hear them, Angelo answered. But of course, with my young friend here, talking all the time. And look, Michelle refused to be silent. They're taking baggage off the boat. It looks as if they're going to stay. Well, Angelo looked up at Michelle. Go, quick. Go? Me? Why? The men, hurry. The men? Michelle stared. What have the men to do with me? Why can't I just stay here and look at them like you? Like everyone else. Angelo shook his head. The good saints help me. For a friend, I have a stupidio, dumb like a donkey. I must push him and pull him. I must draw pictures for him. I must ask him questions. Listen, Michelle, where do you live? Michelle looked back over his shoulder. The high rocks that make up the center of Capri towered above him. Angelo could say that Capri was an island if he wanted to, but Michelle knew better. It was a mountain, a single-down mountain with the village of Capri on its lap. The fact that there was water all around its feet didn't keep it from being a mountain. I live on a mountain, Michelle grinned. It was an old joke between them. You live on an island, Angelo shook his head. A piece of land with water all around it as an island. A piece of land that humps and rears and heaves is a mountain. All right, you live on a mountain island. I live on an island mountain. Michelle corrected him. All right, but where? Where on the island do you live? Up there. Once more Michelle looked over his shoulder. Up there, beyond the village, with my father and mother. And what does your father do? Angelo asked the question in a high, sweet voice, as if Michelle were 1 year old. Then, dropping 2 octaves, he barked the question again. Tell me quick, what does he do? Michelle amused, playing the game with him. He runs an inn. He answered, as if Angelo had not known him since the day he was born. Runs an inn, does he? Angelo repeated. Well. And here are 3 strange men getting out of a boat with baggage and... Angelo! Michelle jumped to his feet. My father's inn has been closed for a month. He does not expect guests this time of year. There will be nothing for them to eat. I must go quickly and tell him. So, you finally understand, Angelo smiled. I was beginning to think you were going to stay here all day. Michelle made a wiry face. All right, he said. I am not very smart, but you see me, I am smart enough to have a smart friend. Angelo laughed, and a generous friend, too. Here, take the basket of fish to your mother. Then she'll have to worry about supper. She won't have to worry about supper. Angelo, don't stop to thank me. It's nothing. Just go. Michelle turned, then stopped again. Signor Petito's inn. Perhaps they will go there instead. One cannot be sure. Go. Angelo waved his arm. Your friend, who is smart and generous, is also clever. They will go where I send them, and I'll send them to your father's inn. You will send them? What makes you think they will listen to you? Everyone listens to me. Michelle nodded. When one talks all the time, someone is bound to go here. Go. They will need donkeys to get to the father's inn. I shall arrange everything. Go. Angelo, Michelle hesitated. It is not strange that they come at this time of year. Why do you think they have come? To eat you alive, no doubt, Angelo shouted. And if you don't hurry, I'll beat them to it. Go. Half an hour later, Michelle stumbled into the courtyard of his father's inn. He had been running uphill steadily since he left the beach, scrambling over rocks and ledges, often on all fours like some wild mountain animal. Now he stood leaning against a table, gasping for breath, his face twitching as sharp pain shot through his side. Michelle's mother looked out of a window, saw him standing there. Michelle! Then, running through the house, she began to call, Papa, come quick. Something has happened. Michelle! Signor and Signora Pengo reached the courtyard at the same time. Michelle, what is wrong? What has happened? He's ill. Look at him. He holds his side. He is in pain. Oh, my poor boy. I'm not ill, Mama. You're hurt. That's it. You're hurt. How did it happen? Where? When? I'm not hurt, Mama. Michelle was still gasping for breath, and it was all about he could do to talk. Three men. Three men. Signora Pango waved her hands in the air. Bandits, robbers, you were chased, but why? Why would they chase a 14-year-old boy? You have no money, nothing. Why? Mama, Signor Pango patted his wife's arm. Mama, please, don't get excited. Let the boy talk. But he can't talk, don't you see? He sits there panting like a fish that has been washed onto the shore. Finally, Michelle found his voice. I was down at the beach, and Signor and Signora Pango looked at each other. Down at the beach? When wasn't Michelle down at the beach? One might as well say the sky was blue, the grass was green. Michelle pretended not to see his parents' glances. And a ship, a beautiful ship with red sails, came into the harbor, and three men, three strange men, with a great deal of luggage, got off. And Angelo, eager as she was to hear Michelle's story, Signora Pango could not resist showing her disapproval of Angelo. Angelo, always Angelo. If it had not been for Angelo, Michelle went on, I might still be sitting there. It was he who made me realize, Papa, that these men with so much luggage would be wanting a place to stay. The good saints help us. Signor and Signora Pango looked at each other. There is no food in the house, only a bit of macaroni for our supper. The dishes, they will all be dusty so long in the cupboard. The rooms, they will have to be aired. I must go to the market. It is too cool to eat out here. Signor Pango waved his hands for a few minutes as if filling the air. Yes, too cool. We must eat inside, with a fire in the fireplace. Is there wood? If only I had some fish. Mama, Michelle had forgotten the basket, which was still on his arm. Mama, look. Oh, Signora Pango looked into the basket. Who sent them? The angel, the angel. Michelle laughed. It was an angel, Mama. That's why they call him Angelo. Angelo, he takes our son away from us and in exchange sends us a basket of fish. It is small pay. But then one must be grateful. She sniffed at the fish to see if they were fresh. Michelle grinned at her, but his grin disappeared when the fish passed her approval and she handed the basket to him. All of the scales off, Michelle, all of them. Not half of them, not some of them, not part of them, not most of them. All of them, all. And hurry. Papa will want you to open the 3 front rooms and the floor must be swept. Michelle took the fish and started for the spring. He hated to clean fish. The scales were terrible. They stuck to your hands and your clothing, and most of all to the fish themselves. He never got all of them, try as he would. Today, however, he worked faster and more carefully than usual. He did not want to be sent back to the spring to do the job over, nor did he want to be there when the men arrived. Later, he began to wonder why he had hurried so fast. 3 upstairs bedrooms had been opened, aired, and cleaned. A big fire roared in the fireplace. Lamps had been cleaned and lighted. Furniture had been dusted. Dishes had been washed. Michelle and his father, faces washed, hair combed, sat in the courtyard waiting. There. The words came from the kitchen along with a wonderful odor. There. Cook slowly now. Do not hurry yourselves. The men have not arrived. Signor Pango looked at Michelle and smiled. Your mother, he said, is a very remarkable person. Does she cook by recipe? No. Does she cook by taste? No. Does she cook by smell? No. Your mother, Michelle, takes a few fish and she talks to them and argues with them and scolds them and flatters them until finally she talks them into cooking the way she wants them. She takes a bit of dough and pats it and teases it and wraps it up in a cloth like a baby and sings to it. Will she leave the kitchen when the bread is rising? No. And why not? Because the dough will not rise well by itself. It gets lonely. Bread lonely. Now I ask you, but what can I do? What can I say? Is she not the best cook in Capri? Michelle swallowed hard and nodded. The odors from the kitchen were almost more than he could bear. Would the men never come? There. Pots clattered, lids were lifted and replaced. There was the sound of beating and scraping and stirring. There. You'd like some more lemon. Yes, good. But slowly now. Don't get too brown. The men have not come. There is much time. There was too much time. The sun began to set behind the mountains. Michel lighted more lamps, brought in more wood, and closed the shutters. Still the men did not come. Signora Pango cooed to the fish, spoke harshly to the soup while it boiled over, and begged the figs to keep themselves juicy. Finally she joined Michel and the father in the courtyard. "Your 3 men," she said, looking at Michel. "Where can they be? You are sure they will come? You heard them say so?" "Well, no. Signora and Signora Pango stared at Michel. "Well, not exactly. You did not hear them say they were coming here." "Not exactly. What did you hear them say?" "They said that Capri was beautiful, and 3 men do not have to come in a wonderful boat with red sails to tell us what we already know," Signor Pango interrupted. "Of course, Capri is beautiful, and most beautiful at all, at Signor Pango's inn. But if they do not come, they will come. Why are you sure?" "Angelo said." "Angelo!" Signora Pango sniffed. "Always Angelo. Oh, Angelo knows them." Signor Pango looked pleased. "That is good." "No," Michel shook his head. "Angelo does not know them." "Then how? He said he would send them to us." "And you believed him?" Signora Pango put her hands up to her head and swayed back and forth. "How can you believe anything Angelo says? Don't you know that he could not tell the truth if he had to? It is not that he has forgotten how. Oh, no, he never knew. Never. As a small child, a baby. Such stories. And now that he is grown, he is much worse. Like all fishermen, he must make everything bigger and better than God intended it to be. Everything bigger and better. And he, Angelo, and he makes the biggest and best of all. Angelo can do anything. He can even tell 3 strangers where to go, and they'll obey him like little children. Because of him, we have scrubbed and washed and cleaned and dusted. We have used olive oil and lemons and peppers and honey, all we had, a week's supply. We have upset the whole household, wasted wood and oil, and for what? What? Angelo and his stories? Michel looked anxiously down the side of the mountain, then looked again. By leaning forward, he could see 6 donkey ears moving across the top of the ledge. 6 donkey ears meant that 3 donkeys must be walking by the path below, and it was reasonable to suppose that the donkeys belonged to Michel's good friend, Pietro, since young Pietro was also a friend of Angelo's, and Angelo would certainly call on him if he needed 3 donkeys to bring the luggage of 3 strangers to Signor Pango's inn. "Mama," Michel sniffed the air, "your fish. I can smell them. They must be burning. My fish, my poor little fishes. I forgot all about them. Wait, she cried. I'm coming. Don't burn yourself, I'm coming." 5 minutes later, when Signora Pango returned, the 3 men were just coming into the courtyard. "Oh," she stopped short and stared. "Oh, I am sorry." The man in red velvet breeches, whom Angelo had said was probably from France, took off his cap and bowed. "I did not mean to startle you." "Well, you see, I didn't." Signora Pango stopped, and Signor Pango went on hurriedly. "My wife was surprised because, well, you see," suddenly he began to smile, "you see, visitors do not usually come to Capri this time of year." The man bowed again. "Good. That is just what we want. No other guests. Peace and quiet." He looked around him, then spoke to his companions. "That fellow on the beach, he was right. This is perfect. What was his name? I can't remember. A charming fellow, charming. Well, never mind, I'll think of it." He turned back towards Signor and Signora Pango. "Let me introduce my companions. This is Lord Derby, an English painter who has come to Capri to search for beauty. This is Herr Erich Nordstrom, a Danish student who has come to Capri to study all the books, which I am afraid I am going to make that poor donkey over there even more bow-legged than he was before. And myself, Monsieur Jacques Tiercenier. But you can forget my impossible last name. No one has been born in France can ever pronounce it. And I am the writer who has come to Capri in search of adventure." Signor Pango laughed. "There is plenty of beauty for Lord Derby and plenty of quiet for studying, but you, Monsieur Jacques, I fear will be disappointed. Capri is a peaceful little island, half asleep in the sun. I am afraid you will not find this adventure you are seeking." Lord Derby, who had been busy taking an easel off the donkey, called back over his shoulder, "Don't you worry, Signor Pango. When you have known Monsieur Jacques, as long as I have, you will know that if he does not find adventure will find him. They are made for each other. When things happen, Monsieur Jacques is around. When Monsieur Jacques is around, things happen. Nothing too terrible, I hope, said Signora Pango a little nervously. Don't worry, Monsieur Jacques whispered to her. I am not as bad as they make me sound. Anyway, right now, I think we are most interested in searching for a bit of food. He sniffed the air. Something smelled heavenly. I think some good angel must have led us to this place. He clapped his hands together and began to laugh. Now I remember that fellow's name. It was Angelo. It took Pietro and Michel 3 trips each to get all the things upstairs. Books, box, easels, brushes, paints, chests, leather bags. There seemed to be no end to them. Your poor donkeys, whispered Michel. Will they ever be the same? Pietro laughed. They will have the whole winter to straighten out their legs. As for me, it was a good bit of luck getting a few Lire this time of year. And you see, Michel, you and your father and mother are you not pleased? Is it not fortunate to have guests at this season? Michel nodded. The winters are usually bad. Nothing to do and no money. I wonder how long they will stay. Forever, Pietro lowered a heavy chest to the floor. With all this stuff, they will stay forever, you can be sure. And if they stay forever, Pietro went on, pretending to figure on his fingers. Let's see, what does your father charge a day? Michel, 5 lire. Let's see, 5 lire times forever. Why, Michel, you're rich, rich, rich. Shh, said Michel, they'll hear you. Rich, 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 Pietro ran down the stairs. Rich, rich, rich. See you tomorrow, Michel. Tomorrow, Michel called after him, laughing. Tomorrow.